I think we're on your side, David.
Yeah.
Okay, we are. All right, guys. Before we bring David on here, do me a favor, right? Grab your pencils, flip your phones, close the extra tabs, and log in for the next 60 minutes. Because what you're about to hear here is not theory. It's not motivation. It's experience at the highest level. I worked a long time to get him on here because he's super busy. And when you follow him online, he's all over the place, right? Because David is absolutely a legend in the real estate space and is personally close. I think, was it 1,650 deals all over the place? Not only land, but you did land and houses and all kinds of stuff, right?
All the things,
all the things. He's the co-founder of Easy RA Closings and their transactional coordination company, and we're going to talk about that today. And impressively, his team has handled over 9,000 files nationwide, right? And he's in this business for over 24 years, and I think he can tell us stories all day, every day about
horror stories,
wrong and where. Horror stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And guys, you will not just see the wins. You will see he will share the stories, what things go wrong, and more importantly, he will share with us today how to prevent a bunch of those things that happen in the transaction side. And a lot of the top investors all over real estate that I know trust his team, work with him to protect their deals. And today he's here on the show to share with you how to do the same. So give your full attention, take notes, grab your pencil. David Oles, how are you today, my friend?
Doing good, my man. Doing good. I really appreciate you asking me to come on. It's a big honor to be here. And hopefully I'm going to see you next week, right? And you're going to be in Tampa?
I hope so.
Where it's going to be warm, right? I looked and it's going to be in the 80s.
That's the plan. Nice. That's the plan. Yeah, this is how David and me met. We were together in a mastermind, family mastermind, which is one of the top mastermind in real estate education. And David,
I met you and I said, "Holy shit, you're tall." Oh my God.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, I'm really tall.
You don't look that tall on Zoom, right?
Yeah. That's it. You don't really see that here, right?
Yeah.
I'm 6'8", but
jeez.
David, bring us a little bit in the picture. Who are you? What do you do? Bring us a little bit through the history. I mean, these are impressive numbers, but give us a little bit of insights, like who's David Oles, right? For the people that don't know you.
Yeah. Well, I hate talking about myself, but yeah, I've been an investor for 24 years, which seems like a ridiculous amount of time. I started in Central Florida. I had a full-time job and was doing this on the side and started flipping properties. I was more on the rehab side of the business back then because that was easier to do. I could buy a property, take a couple months, fix it up. Sometimes we moved into them, sometimes we didn't, and resold them. And then when the market crashed in 2009, when it was the end of the world, right, when everything went really bad, we relocated to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then we realized we couldn't flip houses anymore because nobody was buying because banks were busy taking properties back, not lending to new homeowners. So we had to come up with a new strategy, and that's where we figured out wholesaling. And it started out with houses, and then we moved into land, and we did some small, flipping some small subdivisions at the time. But we really do love land, right? For all the obvious reasons. Grandma's not attached to the curtains or the microwave, and it's just easier to do them and pick them up. Literally, you can pick them up all over the country. That's why I love and really resonate with everything that you guys are doing here. So yeah, did that, went back into flipping houses a little bit. And then I realized as we wanted to grow our company, we had to get into multiple markets. And, in order to do enough deals to satisfy, I had 3 partners at the time. So 3 people, you're cutting the pie 4 ways. We got to do more deals in more places. So it really helped us figure out our processes. And then I started teaching about dispositions, and that sort of led into transactions. And we realized that there was, first off, nobody teaching dispositions, but then there was this void of, well, I'm just going to send this to the investor-friendly title company. And I've got a couple stories here where I'll show you where literally our business hit the wall because we were trusting somebody else to handle something that was so crucial to everything that we're doing. So yeah. So I've got a couple slides here. Let me see if I can share my screen. We'll see if that works. Can you see it? I did it.
Yeah,
and I did it without Hannah.
Walk us a little bit through that. What is Easy RE Closings doing?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of questions for you.
I love it.
After this, walk us through what does easy ROI closings do? Because I thought, like, guys, why is that so important that we talk with David? First of all, I think in our industry historically, everyone talks about acquisitions. How do you get more leads and deals?
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about dispositions.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the transactions, because like when you did all the work, like all of this stuff gets screwed up here in the back. So this is why I wanted to have him on. So walk us a little bit through, what is easy REI closings doing, and why is it so beneficial working with you?
Yeah, let's just have a chat. That's much better than slides. Yeah, so think about this, right, Robin? You run a very active investing business, but everybody who's listening and on the call here, whether you're here in the Zoom or you're seeing this online, we all spend so much time and money, right, to get our leads, right? Whether it's you're spending money for PPL or PPC or direct mail or texting or cold calling, or you're out making Facebook ads and generating leads, right? We're spending our time and our money and our blood, sometimes blood, sweat, and tears, right? If you're out there like me that was hammering up bandit signs. So, we do all of that stuff, right? And then, nobody's doing it for a hobby, right? Clearly, we're all doing it to make money. All right. Now, I'm one of those unique people that I actually really love real estate. I love the process. I love all of the things. But, at the end of the day, we do real estate to make money, to live the life that we want to lead, right? So that you and I can take off for a week and go to tropical Tampa and hang out, or, wherever it is. I'm going back to Orlando like 3 weeks later to spend some time. So, that's why we do it. And what are these deals worth? 5,000, 10,000, 20. I know you've closed. I saw you posted you're closing this massive deal. So these deals can be big money. It's real stuff, right? But what happens if they don't close? Right? If they don't close, now it's a very expensive hobby, whether you spent the time or the money. So we have to make sure that these deals close. So that's what we do. Everything we do at Easy REI Closings, we built this business. Really, we built it for ourselves. All the processes that we use for your business and everybody else's, all of our 600 clients, was built for me. And I'm kind of a dick, right? Like, I wanted to make sure things ran like super, super smooth. So I wanted to make sure that, as people started coming to us in the early days saying, hey, can you help us with transactions? Because that's how it started. It was just one or two high volume wholesalers, friends that I knew, Nick Perry, Corey Geary, Sean Terry, some of these people. And we can duplicate our process for you. And then it sort of started snowballing, word of mouth. People are like, oh, you're doing this for other people. Can you do this for us too? So yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, people think we're in the paperwork business, but it's really the peace of mind. Just peace of mind that, hey, I'm going to go get this contract, and I'm going to hand this piece of paper over to you, and you're going to take care of it all the way till closing, right? So like we saw that our friend Mayhem, so he doesn't pop in there and go, let's see if we can screw some stuff up, because, Robin, there's so much of what we do is just wild and wacky. I used to have this girl, great friend of mine. She's passed away now, but she ran a local title company here in town. And after every closing, she would call me up and be like, God, David, where do you find these people? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't even know where these people come from. They're like worse than the Walmart at 12 o'clock people. And I'm like, yeah, well, Patty, this is what we do, right? Death, divorce, probate, bad tenant, water shut off. Like, these are the people that we go out and search, because these are the people that we can help as investors, right? And that's our job, right? That's the thing that we do. That's our special set of skills, as Liam Neeson would say, right? But yeah, we deal with the wild and the wacky. And, what can happen? What happens is we don't always understand how to solve all these problems. Now, let's be clear. I can explain to a third grader what we do. We buy low, we sell high. Whether you're wholesaling, novating, buy and hold, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Buy low, sell high. Easy, simple. The people that make it complicated, though, right? Lost mortgages, people won't show up for closing, probate that was never done, affidavit of heirship, bankruptcy, people not doing the document, right? All those other weird things. And, the thing that I talk about a lot is, like, you can kind of muddle your way through anything, right? I can go out there and try to change the oil in my Jeep. 50-50, I'm going to screw it up because I don't really know what I'm doing. And there's a surprising statistic, and this is something we learned at Family Mastermind. 50% of all deals never close. 50%. Like that's a
Crazy, huh?
stunning number. You have literally a flip of the coin for every contract that you put out there, whether or not that's going to close. Not because you didn't do good marketing, and not because you didn't negotiate good, and not because you didn't do the contract right. It's because of all the other wild and weird and wacky things that pop up. And it can be, title comes back and says, "Hey, you need to do monument of title." Awesome. You're like, what in the F does monument of title? And, so now, right now you take your mind off of the things that you should be doing, which we'll talk about in a second. And now you're like, imagine this. You're supposed to be going down the highway with your deal to payday, but you're pulled over on the side of the road and you're changing the tire on your deal, trying to figure out what is a monument of title, and you're chat GPT in it and you're Googling it, and maybe you'll figure it out, maybe you won't. But you know what you're not doing? Focusing on your next deal, right? And building that pipeline. Because there's only four things you should be doing as a business owner. Every single one of us, no matter what your business is or what your niche is or any of that stuff. And it's this. It's marketing, right? It's marketing, talking to sellers, putting them under contract, and selling your deal. That's it. Anything outside of those four things is literally just noise, right? You should not be trying to figure out how to run Google PPC. It's brain damage. You can bring in an expert for nothing, for $1,000 a month that will run that at a very high level for you, or even less, right? You can definitely find. Should not be doing your own bookkeeping. Shouldn't be trying to figure out QuickBooks. I can't even be. My accountant will be like, "Hey, I need access to QuickBooks." I'm like, "Oh shit." Let me go in here and try to just figure out how to give you access, let alone how to categorize stuff. Like you should not be doing that. You should not be doing your own transactions. What should you be doing? Leads, sellers, contracts, buyers. Leads, contracts, sellers, buyers. That's how you build a sustainable business, right? You have to focus on, as our friend Tom Kroll says, keep revenue in first position. That's the only thing that's important. That's it. When you do that,
I agree, and I agree with you on that. Like it's like like one of the things, and this is how I build my business always is like you always need to be aware what are the highest leveraging activities, and I would even like pull back a little, like put it one layer over this what you were talking about. I think the most important part in every wholesale real estate land business is talking and negotiating with sellers that are qualified.
Right.
This is like where you really bring in the leverage, because you can sell like a piece of land for that much, right? Like we can't really influence that. $100,000 is $100,000. We can't sell a Fiat for a Ferrari, right?
Right.
But we can totally influence how much money we pay for the Fiat, right? Like, and that makes a difference if you negotiate that contract for $80,000 or $60,000 or $50,000. And I think what you need to build around that is, and of course you need buyers, and like you need to keep the things going, but like relying like on experts that do that. Like I had a discussion like yesterday with somebody. He's running launch control, right? So I'm like, cool, good. Launch control partner you work with, partner we work with, really great. But I was like, how is it going? Oh, it's not going well. Well, I said like, okay, why not? Yeah. Like I always start these campaigns and then I get sidetracked and I said, so, moment. Let me interrupt you right there. So you sit there, you hit the button and then wait until people are responding and all that.
God.
You are aware that for like $600, like you can hire launch control to do that part for you, talk to these people and refer them to you once they say they want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, yeah, but it's $600. I said, okay, how much deals don't you get?
Right.
Like by doing that by yourself, because you are not the subject matter expert in this. Right. Like how many text campaigns did you run before this in your life? Yeah, zero. Okay. So now you tell me that you're going to do that better than somebody that does that. So how will that influence your outcome? And that changes a little bit the conversation too, right? Like, because when we're focusing as business owners on the piece of, hey, we're focusing on talking to sellers, talking to buyers on the contract situation, then it's like the third part of this is like, as a CEO, I think you also need to be capable of having money for your company, right? Like, okay, when you need to hire somebody for $600, then you need to take care of where do we get the $600 if your deal flow doesn't support that, right? So I agree with you on that. Let's go a little bit in this whole transactional coordination thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like when I, like when I look on it, like first of all, it's not obvious to outsource that because what you literally do is like you give it to a title company and hope that they handle it from there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So bring us a little bit like in this misconception of this whole thing. Like what happens in transactional coordination really what nobody is thinking about normally?
Yeah, let's definitely talk about that because that was the mistake that I made at the beginning, right? And people told me that and I just believed it that, oh, you just, the first lie was like, oh, if you just get a good contract, it'll sell. Well, having a contract sitting on my desk, it's not going to sell. We have to do effective marketing, right? We have to get in front of all the buyers. But then the next thing was go find an investor friendly title company. And, the truth is, that is not a title company's job. And we used to own a title company in 6 states, a very big one. So I can speak with complete authority here. A title company's job is to do a title search, which means they can do it online. Sometimes they're going down to a courthouse and digging through dusty books to say, okay, it was this owner and then this owner and this owner, and they're creating a chain of title. Awesome. Now, if there's any problems in there, they're going to send you an email or a call and go, Robin, hey, I need you to take care of these 12 things. They are not solving those problems. They are kicking that back to you. That's not their job to fix it. When you get it fixed, you send it back to them and then they complete the paperwork. So they do a title search, they draw up the documents for closing, a deed, a mortgage, a loan, whatever, all the things that are involved, right? And then they collect all the money, disperse the money. So they run escrow and then they finalize and record documents. That's what they do. But do not ever think, I don't care who it is. I'm happy to anybody who wants to jump on here and say their title company does this. The title company is there to protect their business, not your business. Right. And like I said, with Patty calling me like, David, where do you find these people? We are, as investors, the worst business for title companies. We're the worst because there's so much unpredictable, crazy stuff that happens, right? Remember, death, divorce, probate, bankruptcy, like all the problems. Like when we take a file, it's like this ball of spaghetti that has to be unwound. Whereas what do they really want? They want the $500,000 house that sold 2 years ago that had a loan where everybody's got a job and a realtor's involved and it's just boom, 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 easy peasy in and out, and they get paid off of the title policy. So if the title company's protecting their part of the deal, well, who's protecting yours? Who's calling the seller every week and keeping them happy and letting them know where things are going? Who's collecting the death certificate and the obituaries and the affidavits of heirships and who's figuring out how to find the lost trust document that this property is in, or the missing mortgage release, or all of those other things. You've done 1,000 jobs. Think about it, right? All of those things. That's not the title company's job, and they are not going to do that for you. So what happened to me, Robin, was I'm like, oh, I have this investor-friendly title company, but I didn't realize they were kicking everything back to me, and I was the one really doing their work. Like I was their unpaid assistant. And what was that doing? Well, now I'm on the side of the road fooling with this deal instead of being on the highway getting deals. So while I'm over here, those deals were just blowing by me. So I had two problems. This is what it took me a long time to understand. One, I had a 50-50 shot of fixing the one that was broken. But while all my attention was here, I'm missing seller calls. I'm missing buyer calls. My marketing is not going out. And now my business is doing this. I'm having these massive ups and downs, right? Because I could only focus on one thing at a time, two things maybe. So I'm doing my marketing. Marketing goes out. Calls start coming in. Now I'm on calls. And I'm all excited. I'm in acquisitions mode. And I get a couple contracts. Change hats. Now I'm in dispo mode. Awesome. Now I'm selling stuff. Now I got to switch into title mode because these are 4 different businesses. Right?
Yeah.
So now I'm solving title problems, and I get, I start with 5 and I get 3 of them closed. Awesome. Well, I lost 40 grand, but it's okay because I made 60. Cool. And then I'm like, shoot, now I got to crank the engine back up and get my marketing going again, right? So one of the very first presentations I ever gave on stage was called The Wholesaler Cycle of Death, where you do this, you get paid, and then poof, you got to start all over again. Poof, and then you can only go through that cycle, like if you're good, 3 to 4 times a year. That's it.
Yeah.
So you've got like 3 or 4 big times of payday. And what I realized in my company was I wanted to even that out. Right. So for me, way back in the day, I had to hire a bunch of people, right? And I brought in a partner and a bunch of people, and I paid a transaction coordinator who's now my COO, who gets paid a lot of money. But I made sure that it was like a production line. Everybody handled a part of the business, and it started to smooth things out. And then, productivity evened out and closings were started happening more on schedule. So that's the part where we come in, right? Really, at the end of the day, you get that contract, you hand it off to us, go get your next contract. Go get your next contract. So when you give it to us, the process is simple. Let's say, it's Abby's going to be your coordinator. So we're going to assign it to the right coordinator for your type of deal, because there are lots of types of deals. We're going to assign it to the right title company. We'll pick the title company. The question I see the most on Facebook is, who knows a good title company in West Virginia? And if you are trusting somebody who has nothing else to do but sit behind the keyboard all day to tell you who the best title company is, best of luck. But we're going to assign it to a coordinator in a title company, and Abby's going to reach out and go, hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm working with Robin on your land over here at 123 Main Street. Hey, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way to closing. Like, I got this. Robin, you're done. Go sell your deal. Go get your next deal. Go do whatever you want. Like, I got this. Like, this is literally their job. This is their KPI. This is their SOP. This is their job. So then they're going to start to talk to Mrs. Smith, right? Abby's going to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, I got some questions for you so I can get you paid just as quick as possible, because that's what they want. Let's be honest. They're all in some kind of distress. And this is something Hannah was instrumental in helping us develop, Heather and Hannah, and our first couple of TCs. After 9,000 of these things, right, we have seen pretty much everything. It's kind of like the Matrix. You see the bullets coming in very slow motion. So we just start asking questions. Hey, Mrs. Smith, is there anybody else who has to sign at closing? It looks like there's a Mr. Smith. Really nice way to ask, is Mr. Smith alive? Right? Oh, no, he passed away. Whole new checklist, right? Now we're in a probate checklist, right? So like, we've done this enough that we know how to do that and do it smoothly. Great. Okay, no problem. It's just you. Awesome. So do you want us to come to your house and sign remote closing? Do you want to go to a title company? How do you want to do this? Awesome. And hey, Mrs. Smith, we're going to reach out to you every single week. What's the best way? Text message, email, phone call, carrier pigeon. You tell me, because like we did in our own business, we realized that sellers have to be talked to every week to keep them settled down and they don't sign contracts with other people. So this is just another thing that we do. But then, hey, is there, if it's a house, is it rented or is there a mobile home? Like what's going on with the property? Oh, it's rented. Oh, can you send me a copy of the lease and the tenant's contact info and the monthly rent and the security deposit? Because that's always the last thing that the title company asks 3 days before closing, right? So this is our goal. I want to ask all those questions up front that the title company asks on the last day, because now I've got time to fix it, right? Because there's always problems. I promise you, we do 9,000 of these. Like, there's always problems. So the quicker we can fix these, the better, the more likely that you're going to close. And we have clients that close up to 78% of their files. That's 56% more than the average. What would that do in your business if you're watching this? If you closed 7 or 8 out of 10 instead of 5, if every deal's worth 5, 10, 15,000, now multiply that by a year. These are significant bumps in revenue. And that's without doing more marketing or more work. We're just going to close more of the deals for you.
And I think there were so many layers in that. Right?
There was a lot. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think the most important thing, especially for our audience, is it's just what you need to do is protecting your time, right? Like, land investing is a hassle. Nobody prepares you for that, because you have, and I love how David like brought that out, right? You have like the acquisition piece, you have like talking to sales piece. You also have like a layer before. Where do I go? How do I pull data? Like organizing lead generation, right? Like, then you need to talk to all the sellers. You need to run comms. You need to sign contracts. You need to do underwriting, right? Before you market the deal. Nobody's talking that disposition and transactions cost money, right? And sometimes it's not the money in dollars from your bank account. Sometimes it's just the money in your time, because your time is valuable too, right? And what it really is, and we worked with you, and it's like really, suddenly you hire a specialist that has seen all the ifs and whens. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, this is like really, really the thing. And no matter where you are in your business, it's also like, where do you want to spend most of your time, right? Like, hey, when you love talking to like sellers and you have a title background and you understand that, or you love that piece, then do it by yourself. But like, if you don't, why don't you want to give it to David?
Yeah.
If you like lead generation and like text messaging and you love running these campaigns, then do it. Otherwise, and launch control, just like handle it, right? Because that you can really focus on this high leveraging activities. I think that was a lot of juice. The second thing is, so many transactions get lost here on the closing table when you don't know how to solve them. I think every one of us has been on death certificates and probates.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really simple to solve that when you know how. Sometimes you just need to do an affidavit of heirship and move on, and you can close the deal.
Right.
But you need to know how to position these solutions. And one of the last things is like, when you were talking, it's like, what you build in your business is all these different layers of points of communication with certain people.
Yeah.
You have your sellers you need to talk to in acquisition. You have your buyers you need to talk to in dispositions. You have, then when you have the transaction, you need to bring all of them together, and there's agents and there's title companies, and now you need to bring all of them together. And like, what it creates is a permanent distraction of where your focus goes. Right. And as you say, like what I see happening in the land business, one of the reasons why we do the land autopilot, where we handle a lot of this, right? Other than talking to sellers, but like, and what I see happening, the systems break, right? Like first lead generation goes silent. Then they realize, hey, lead generation, oh my God, let me go back there. Then their deals sit idle, right? Like, and then we fall short on capital, right? And when we fall short on capital, then suddenly all of that paired with a messy system, we're in the shit, right? Like, and say it doesn't work, right? But it's not really us. It's a system that you created that didn't work. And I think when you work with a service like easy REI closings, for example, you just don't need to train and hire a team, because that costs money too, right? There's always these two currencies, time and money, right? And I always think the more money you spend, the less time you spend. And this is what it really is, right? Like, you can take your time and spend them somewhere else that makes you more money than spending that money on this side. So no, David, there was a lot of juice. Let's switch the gears a little bit here. Bring us a little bit, like, I mean, you do a lot of land transactions. I know that. Like, bring us a little bit into the picture.
We just we just sold a 4-pack of 4 lots in Interlachen, Florida, or something, like last night. So yeah, we're doing this all the time.
Yeah. So bring us in the common hiccups, because land is like this niche, like where everyone is like not talking about. And land is super special because we have a lot of land that goes down generations. And Daddy made a mortgage with the neighbor Willie, and Willie is deceased, and his 5 heirs are deceased, and the kids, they live all over the place and left the country. Like, bring us a little bit, like, where are all these hiccups Robin and David are talking about? Because we know, but like, for somebody who doesn't know, they should know, right?
Yeah. So every single thing, every strategy has pros and cons, right? Pre-foreclosure. Pro, they're probably motivated. The cons, not always a lot of equity, right? So sometimes they're hard to do things with. Land, love it. You can do it anywhere. I don't have to get pictures. Maybe at best I get someone to go do some drone footage, right? But you can do it with a topographical map and a Google Street View 90% of the time. So that's great. And there's no emotional attachment. Nobody cares about the maple tree that they, that their daddy wanted to cut down, right? Like, so land is fantastic. The bad thing about land, and this, when we owned our title company, we went to the ALTA convention, which is the American Land and Title Association in Orlando. There are thousands of title companies from across the country. And I was sitting in one of the seminars, and completely unprompted, my head popped up, and they're like, land is the most difficult and the most title curative portion of all types of real estate, because exactly what you just said, it gets passed down. Now one person owned it, but they're dead, and they had 5 kids, and 2 of them died, and each one of them had 5 kids. So now you've got 10, 13 heirs, and someone's not paying the taxes, and one of them put a lien on it, and they attached the land. So there can be a lot of just trailing problems that go with land, and you want to make sure that, because it's such a great niche, and you can do it very, very quick, because it's just easier to sell. It's fantastic. But we want them all to close, right? And if you're stopping to clean up 13 airs and, some lows, liens, and whatever, right? All the things that can attach to these, then you're not getting your next deal. And you brought up something earlier. You said, not all these deals are complicated. Well, that's true. I'm not here to say every deal's a shit show. They're not. But even a simple deal has got you calling the seller, right? And got you calling the buyer and got you calling the title company, and you're coordinating and you're getting wiring instruction. Like the simplest, the best deal. You're still going to spend 3 to 5 hours on just an easy deal. Now, what if you're trying to do 3, 4, 5 deals a month? That's still 20 hours, 25 hours a month. That's a significant amount of time. Why do that? Because with us, we'll also show you how you can charge your end buyer the cost for what we charge. So yeah, you don't want to be doing that. And here's the other thing, think of the worst deal that you've ever done. The one that you're like, oh my God, this makes me want to dig my eyeballs out with a fork, because all the title and all the problems and all the stuff that comes up, like you didn't know that the day you contracted it. Like the day you contracted, you're like, ring the bell, hit the gong, order the jet. We're going to be rich. I love this business. And then it's like you're walking through quicksand. And it's like every step you just sink a little further into this quagmire until finally you're like, cut this thing loose. It's just not worth it. Well, those are the deals that we just do every day. We're literally closing dozens a week for our clients. It's so, yeah, focus on the things that matter. Exactly what you said. Leads, sellers, contracts, buyers. That's it. You focus on those 4 things and let the specialists come in and handle the other things. And that's what you'll see will amplify your business more than anything else.
What do you see going wrong in those deals, right? Like give us like your best, like 1 or 2 land stories, like where you say, you know what, this is like the role model for that what Robin and David are talking about here.
Yeah.
This is what happens all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe give us like the most obscure story that you ever had. Like probably you can write a book, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. And I ask my coordinators all this. We do a podcast called In the Trenches with Your TC. And I'm always like, come on, let's go back and talk about stuff. And they're like, well, we're not doing anything interesting. And we were sitting back here not too long ago, and one of them's like, yeah, we had this deal that almost died because the buyer wanted the goat to be transferred with the property because it was a prize winning goat. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why are we not leading with this? That's the hook. And it's just weird stuff. People make things complicated. I mean, we've had, let's talk about, in all these deals, it doesn't matter whether it's a storage unit, apartment, land, they all relate the same. This young lady, she's our client. I won't mention her name, but she uploaded a file. Great. And it was Abby. This time Abby gets the deal. And so Abby calls up, her seller, Mrs. Smith. Hey, Mrs. Smith, point of contact, I'm going to handle it here from here all the way to closing. And she just starts asking her questions. And she says, she gets to, you're not in bankruptcy. Nope. Are there any city liens or, code enforcement? Nope. You're not in foreclosure, are you? And she goes, yes, I am. Oh, no problem. We do this every day. Cool. Have they given you a sale date? Yes, they have, she says. And our wholesaler, the investor, had no idea because she didn't ask the question. So to answer your what you asked really is, it's not asking good questions. And then 50% sellers aren't truthful. So anyway, she says, okay, well, so you got a sale date. When is it? 72 hours. We're like, oh my God. Okay. So we had to put 2 coordinators on this file, and they spent 20 hours over the next 3 days and got the sale postponed. And this turned out to be a $38,000 assignment fee that would have been gone under any other circumstances because the title company wouldn't have caught it. She didn't know. She would have just kept doing about her, finding somebody, sending them over there, look at it, make me an offer, all the things that we normally do. But it's not knowing the right questions to ask really at the end of the day. All right. So that's one thing that, we do a lot of master classes, and we have our own community where we're trying to just educate people so that their business runs smoother. Hey, these are common problems. Let's talk about regulations and just all the different things, right? We do. I feel like most of my life is spent doing education, but so to answer your question, it's just not asking good questions, not understanding things like when they jump into PropStream or PropWire and they see the mortgage and transaction history. Oh, what's a special warranty deed? What's a tax deed? Should I take note of that? Well, yes, those are red flags, not necessarily deal killers, but you should understand what they mean and how to price them, right? Because, if Steve bought a piece of property for $2,000 and at the tax sale and under any other circumstance it's worth 50 and he wants to sell it to me for 30,000, I'm like, whoa, that's 40% off. I'm going to put that under contract. But the reality is, because he bought it at a tax sale, it doesn't have clear title, and now it doesn't have as much value. Right. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Not asking good questions and not understanding the history, right? What's happened, or how did this person acquire the land? Right. If you see a quitclaim deed, well, who quitclaimed their interest in the property to you? And were there other people? Right. Because a quitclaim deed it's not even regulated or accepted, recognized is the right word, recognized in every state. Like Texas doesn't recognize a quitclaim deed, but all a quit claim deed is, it's not quick, it's quit. It's like, Robin, I'm giving you my interest in this property. Best of luck.
I don't even know if I have that interest in the property.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is what it literally says, right?
Yeah. You're not. Yeah, there's no guarantee that I don't have 14 other heirs that I'm screwing over. So you know who cares about a quitclaim deed? Really, at the end of the day, the only people who care, it's the tax office, because they want to know who to send the tax bill to. Just because you're the owner of record does not mean you have clear title, clear and equitable, sellable title to that property. So if you contract something, and maybe it's your own money, you're like, I'm going to buy this thing cheap. It's a deal. Or maybe, I'm buying it for 20,000. Steve bought it for 2,500. I'm stealing this from him. I'm going to list it on the market and I'm going to sell it for the full 50 and make 30 grand. And then you put it out there and you get a buyer and they're like, hey dude, you don't have clear title. Now what do you do? Even worse, what if you borrowed money? What if I borrowed money from Trevor? And like, Trevor, we can't lose. It's going to be great. We're going to be rich. And now you're stuck because you didn't understand what you were buying. Or the worst thing, and this does happen with land, people are like, Robin, just meet me down at the courthouse and I'll bring a deed and you just sign it and give me a check or cash. And then you can go in and record it. Anybody who says that to you is smarter than you. And they are way sharper than you. Do not ever do that, because you are going to get bamboozled and they are going to take your money. And I guarantee you that deed is like, you're on your own, man. You're not coming back or suing me for anything. I saw that in one of the Facebook groups yesterday. And then it was like, they were like, yeah, this guy wants to sell me this deed. It's a tax deed. And he wants to add all this language into the contract. I'm like, yeah, because he's smarter than you. And it was all like, hold harmless, all this stuff. Like, he's bamboozling you. Run away from that deal.
Run far.
Don't negotiate with somebody smarter than you, Like,
yeah,
I sell a lot of properties and I'll buy tax deeds. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy these things, but you have to understand what they mean so that you value them correctly, right? I don't buy the way that I sell, and I don't sell the way that I buy, right? I always want to maintain control. And that's kind of the education that we're always trying to give to people, right? I don't want people to get in trouble. We don't want you to buy a bad deal and get stuck with it.
Yeah, and like, I think there's also a certain layer when you're like having a really good transactional coordinator.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that I have one in-house and she's here on the call. I hope you hear this, Holly. But when you have them, they just know so much, right? They just like see, like, even when title searches come back, right? They see hiccups that are like, not commonly, like, that are not on the preliminary report, but they are so obvious that they catch this because like, like how a title company works literally is, what they do is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is they take your file, send it to one of the big insurance companies, and they have their underwriting guys doing that, and they do like thousands of files a day, and they make mistakes, right?
Sure.
Like the worst one I had is they didn't catch that the property didn't have an easement, which cost me a 3-year delay in selling that property.
Yeah.
Right, because it was forgot we closed. It was not covered in the title insurance, so title insurance covered for that. It was the only case in 1,400 deals, by the way, where I had title insurance really being something good. Otherwise, it was never there, right? I don't know. Like, maybe we can talk about that.
Sure, I got title insurance. I got title insurance stories too. I got stories for everything. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? We always put doctors and lawyers and these people up on a pedestal, but you're calling down to, Main Street Title, and Penelope's been there for 2 weeks, right? Like, she doesn't know. She's just answering the phone. And you say, Penelope, are you investor friendly? And she's like, we deal with this builder and he buys lots and then he sells them once the house is completed. So he's an investor. Yeah, we're investor friendly. Send your contract over. And then 2 weeks before closing, some underwriter's like, yeah, we don't do that. What, like, and now you've wasted your time. You got a mad seller and a mad buyer. But
that was actually a question. That was actually a question I have from you, because you said that. Like, I mean, working with you is like pretty simple, right? The people, you literally, you have a nice portal where people just upload their file, you ask all the right questions, and then you take it to an investor friendly title company.
The people that we've worked with and we've personally vetted, right?
Yes. What makes an investor-friendly title company? Bring us a little bit. How do you think about that? What is that? How do you define that?
Yeah, we have a whole SOP for our coordinators when they're vetting a new title company. So, let's go with a very extreme example, like a novation, right? If you know about them or if you don't, that's okay. But when we call them up, we'll say, hey, do you deal with investor transactions? Great. First question. So will you handle a novation? What's innovation? Hey, no problem. Appreciate it. Click. We're just on to the next person till we get somebody, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, you do. Awesome. When was the last one that you did? Do you have a processor who handles a lot of novations? Great. Can I speak with them? Right. So we know who we should be sending. Awesome. Hey, Susie, could you do this? Could you send me a recent novation HUD? You could please cross out everybody's name. I don't want anybody's personal information, black it out, but I just want to see, for our clients so that we know that you actually do these. So that's how deep we will get when we are vetting these people to make sure that, when we send a file, your file to a title company, we're responsible. That's my responsibility. I'm not saying people don't screw stuff up at the last second. Everybody's human. We're, remember, it's people who complicate this business, but we want to avoid the unforced errors, right? If it's baseball, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and make the simple mistakes. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things, but title companies make errors. For me, one of my first rehabs when I was here in Chattanooga, 129 North Moore Road. 129 Moore North. Yeah, you can look it up. Little yellow house on the corner of Moore and Old Mission. So I bought this property. It's kind of weird. This guy was a little special. He was also on the sex offenders list because he had prostitutes over there and he was a little too close to the school. Super nice guy, but a little special. But anyway, so he sells us the house and he had it listed. So after we bought it, the realtor, I guess, had called him and said, hey, I have these two buyers. And the he said, hey, call David. They bought the property. So the realtor calls me and I think I bought it for 25. And she's like, hey, I've got these two investors. They want to buy it for 55. I'm like, sold. Send me the paperwork. I'm signing it right now. I'm taking my 30 grand and moving on because I had a private lender who was my mother. My mother was the private lender on this property. So, okay. So no problem. So a week and a half later, the title, somebody calls me and says, hey, you can't close on this. You don't have clear title. I'm like, au contraire, my friend, I do. I have a title policy. And they're like, there is a cloud on the title, a memo. 10 years before memos were problems. And I'm like, well, that's really weird. So I call Patty, my friend at the title company. I'm like, Patty, what is this? And she's like, I don't know. Let me look at it. About 2 hours later, she calls me back. She's like, oh, David, we messed up. I'm like, what do you mean you messed up? She's like, we missed something. We missed this cloud on the title, this memorandum. I'm like, well, fix it. She's like, well, I mean, we really can't. I'm like, well, what does that mean? She's like, well, you have to make a title claim. And you have to go through all these steps. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, just send me this thing. Let me call this guy. So it was another experienced investor in town. I won't say his name, but I call him up, Joe. Hey, Joe, 129 North Moore. Looks like you were going to buy it a year ago. You put this memorandum on it. You never closed on it. He's like, yep. I'm like, okay, can I meet you? I need to have you sign a release because I'm selling it. He says, no. I'm like, well, what do you mean, no? I want you to give me half the deal. I'm like, go F yourself. I'm not giving you anything. Yep, you're going to have to, or I'm not releasing it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not new. Like, this is not my first rodeo. I'm not paying you jack or squat. You can sign the release or I'll sue you. He's like, go ahead and sue me. Oh, okay. So I call my attorney, who's a great attorney in town, big name. And I'm like, Craig, call this mother effer and you do lawyer stuff. Do the thing. And he calls me. He's like, yeah, he's not going to settle. I'm like, did you do the lawyer thing? He's like, yeah. I'm like, he's like, just call him and offer him like $1,000 or something. So I call him again. I'm like, hey man, I'll give you $1,000 to sign this thing. Like you weren't going to close on it. Like nope, I want half. I'm like, all right, I'll give you 3,000 right now. We'll close on it. We're done. Just would not do it. I had to go back to my attorney. We had to do a suit for quiet title, and it took 90 days. And I couldn't rehab the property because I didn't have clear title. So it's just literally sitting there, and I'm having to go check it every day to make sure nobody's breaking into it. And we won. The judge had no tolerance for this guy's equitable interest argument, and he had to pay my attorney fees. And the judge wrapped the gavel and gave me clear title. And then I could go. Of course, I had lost my buyer, right? So now I had to go, and now I had to rehab the property and spend 40 grand to rehab it, and we ended up reselling it. But yeah, I mean, title companies miss stuff. They just do.
Yeah,
it happens.
Especially memorandums. I mean, it's like, you know, like there's like this big thing going on, and I want to because we come a little bit to the end of the hour. I want to give everyone the opportunity to ask some questions too. So if you have them, put them in the chat, right? Like, or like when we're there, unmute yourself. But memorandum of contracts are like a highly discussed thing. Like, there's a lot of people say you should file that on everything, but it also comes with a lot of liability, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think they're the worst thing that's happened to our industry. I do. We'll do them for clients, but I advise people, hey, if you put a memo on, you need to be prepared to remove it. So a memorandum, it's not the end all be all. People can certainly close around your memo. It's simply a speed bump, right? That's just notice. Now, you can't get clear title with it. If you're doing a novation, it probably will stop a retail sale because somebody's getting a loan from Bank of America, and Bank of America will not close with that. But a cash buyer can just take it as an exception on the title report. And you have no recourse against the buyer. Your only recourse is against the seller, by the way. People are always like, I'm going to sue this buyer. I'm like, you're not suing. No attorney's going to take that case. In your brain, you think that's the seller, the buyer went around you, and maybe they did, but your contract is with the seller. That's the only person that you have any kind of standing with to sue. And if they didn't have any money, you're probably not going to get anything out of them. Also, it's going to cost you $20,000 to $45,000 to do a jury trial. Is that really worth it? Probably not. But yeah, so memorandums, the worst thing that's ever happened. So if you're going to put one on, be prepared to remove it, because what you're saying is, I have a contract with you, Robin, right? And I have followed all of my side, right? Which, if your contract has EMD on it, you better have submitted that EMD, right? Because if you're the seller and I put a memo on your property and you get an attorney, the first thing they're going to do is look at that contract and go, they're going to call up the title company and say, I want a receipt of the day that this EMD was delivered to you. No EMD, you have a null and void contract. You have no standing, and they will turn around and sue you, and you will pay damages. 100%. So yeah, you have a lot of liability if you're going to tie up somebody's property. So now in my case, right, the judge asked this guy, these were the questions. You had a contract? Yeah. Why didn't you close? Were you, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. It was a lot of stories, right? The judge said, I want to see that you had dollars in your bank account to close on this deal as of the date of closing. I want to see that you had title work done. And I want to see that you had the paperwork prepared. Literally, you were sitting there, and the guy's name was Charles something or other, and Charles did not show up. If all of those things are true, you have a valid claim. If any one of those is missing, you do not have a valid claim, and you can get sued. Like, people are super litigious now. People are getting sued over text messages. If you don't think you will get sued over a memorandum, you are sadly mistaken. And listen, I've rolled the dice and put a memo on a property and pushed it to the last minute till they really get an attorney and they're ready to file. And I'm like, all right, just send it to me. I'll sign it. But you're playing.
I just signed one yesterday, just like where I want to make you really aware, like, because I filed on all of them in the beginning when we were doing a lot of wholesaling. I did that on everyone, but you need to release them too. Otherwise, you can really get in bad trouble with that shit, right? Like, this is what you say.
Yeah, this guy that was doing it in Chattanooga, he had so many. The county recorder's office stopped allowing memorandums. Actually, there's two types of memos. There's unilateral and bilateral. Unilateral is when I sign it that I have a contract on your property. Bilateral will hold up. If I get you as the seller and me to sign a memorandum saying that we have a contract, that will hold up in court, right? Because you knowingly signed it. Those are a little different. Almost nobody gets those. Those are very common in commercial stuff. But that is not what the people are running around our country doing. Yeah. And this is why we're getting, this is why we're having wholesale regulations. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. David, what's the best way to find you? Like, tell us a little bit about how can you work together with Easy REI Closings? Like, how do you help people? Where does it start? Like, I know you have like different types of working with you. Bring us a little bit there.
Yeah, let me let me do this. If I could share my screen for 1 second, because I do have to jump off
you can.
for another call here in just a second. But yeah, if you scan this QR code, you can book a call with, it'll either be me or Hannah or Trevor, who's also on the call here. And yeah, we'll just talk to you about your business. What kind of deals are you doing? What did you do last year? What are you looking to do this year? How can we help you? Right. Ultimately, that's kind of that conversation that we have. We're not some Grant Cardone hard pressure salespeople. But let me do this. Ashley asked a question. What do you charge? So typically we'll charge on a per file basis. We also, Hannah put in a link here as well. Or we, if you're doing multiple deals per month, we have subscriptions. So we have lots of different ways that we can work with you. So yeah, there is no percentage. People ask us that all the time. Do you work on a percentage of the deal? I wish we got a percentage of the $631 million worth of deals that we've closed for people. As far as what does our timeline look like from contract to close, that really depends on a couple of things. One, our client. So, if how long does it take you to find a buyer? So that can stretch it out. Typically, if you give me, Ashley, your contract, our team is going to go right away. We're going to start, working on all the title stuff. We're going to get everything ready. And most of the time we are sitting, waiting on your buyer, right? If you wanted us to help you sell.
And like one important thing to mention here, you also talk to the seller in that period of time.
Yeah, we're talking to them every single week.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah. We're doing that. So we're answering all the questions and trying to find all the problems before the search is done. Because you can ask for a search to be done on day one, but if your deal doesn't close, now you're on the hook for $200, $300, $400, $500 for whatever that title company charges for the transaction. So timeline will radically depend on the state and how long it takes you to find a buyer. On a self-purchase, it could be as fast as 7 days in Tennessee. It could be 40 days in New York, right? Like just every state varies a little bit depending upon what type of how they do closings, right? Because they're all different. And then do we handle double closings? All the time. Like if you need help with transactional funding, we can do that as well. So yeah, the business was modeled after my own business, Ashley. We did assignments and novations and sub 2 and double closings and contract for deed and notes and all that type of stuff. So yeah, of the 9,000 files we've done roughly 40% wholesale, 40% novation, and the last 20% is a combination of owner finance, sub 2, and just the weird and wacky. So hopefully that answers your question. Great question though. I love it. So
I love it.
But yeah, book definitely.
There was another question. What would be we're gonna make sure to link everywhere. Like you find his links. Like when you watch this on YouTube or wherever, gonna find David's links down here. Get in touch with them. I highly recommend working with them. Actually, when you don't have it in house right now, and even when you have it in house, have the capacity, like just like outsourcing it will just like free up so much of your time. So take him up for that. It's really great to work with them, and there's like the customer service is just like beyond. Like, I want to say
Thank you.
By the way, David, like you can get that to your team. Let's get into Q&A here. We have like 2-3 more minutes. Maybe there was Justin Brown. He was asking one question. What would be the best question to ask sellers that will most commonly avoid hiccups?
A couple of things, and also Hannah's on here because I have to jump off for another call, but she can hang and definitely answer questions, and she's a lot smarter than me. So Justin, commonly a couple of things, right? So here's when we look at, and we can come back on and do a presentation on the data that we've seen after 9,000 files, but a couple of the problems, one is just not asking good questions, right? And that causes you, if you don't know something like, hey, are these wetlands, or when was the kitchen updated, or, whatever, just whatever question it is there, we see that bad questions on the acquisition side cause you to overprice it, and then you have a problem selling, right? So that's kind of on the acquisitions, the pricing side. The other side is just not good questions of, hey, where did you get the property from? Who else is on title? Are you the only decision maker? That's another very big one, because that can expose some problems, which are fine. I'm not saying we don't want to deal with problems. Problems are okay. We just want to bake that into our pricing and the time that we go under contract, right? So if I get a contract and I don't ask a lot of these questions, and I don't know that it's in bankruptcy and I have to wait for an order from the court to sell or whatever, right? Or I need, the seller's husband won't be back from, I don't know, France for 3 weeks and can't sign. And I contracted, and then I talked to a buyer, and the buyer's like, yeah, let's go. This is great. Let's close in 3 days. And you're like, awesome. And then you can't close because you didn't understand some of the things in the background that were important. Then that's going to affect your deal. And sometimes that makes people mad, and they bounce out of your deal. So yeah, yes, Justin, this is ultimately, here's the question. I always tell people, like, pretend you're really buying the property. Like, pretend this is really you. And I get it. We're investors and we understand, right? But in your brain, act like, okay, what is the right price for this deal? And then here's the last thing I'll tell you, and I do have to jump, is when you're contracting a property, I don't care if it's an apartment complex, storage unit, raw land, swamp land, desert land, a house, whatever. Do this. In your acquisitions process, you should be thinking, whether it's you or somebody on your team, okay, how does my buyer make money here? Right? If you understand that, if you can understand from the buyer's perspective, when they look at a piece of property or a house or whatever, a rental or whatever you're buying, right? Because we all buy different things. If I can understand how they make money, that helps me price it, right? And just really quick, right? So if I know they're going to rehab it, how long are they going to hold it? Is it in the right area? Is it on a main road? Is it back in a subdivision? What kind of rehab is going to be needed? Because all of those things are going to affect what they're willing to pay, because nobody's buying anything. Nobody's buying nothing. They're all buying it to make a profit, right? This is an investment. It's literally in the word. So how does my buyer make money? If it's a rental, great. I need to price it as a rental, and what are the going rent rates there and the rent multipliers and all that stuff. And if it's land, cool. Who's going to buy it? Is it in a town of 2,000 people? Great. Who's going to buy this land? Unless the next door neighbor wants it to add, room for his dogs to run, who's going to buy this land and develop it? There's one contractor, he builds decks. He's probably not going to build a house on it, right? So then we need to start to price things accordingly, right? So hopefully that helps you a little bit. I do like literally a 45-minute presentation on that, but always start with the end in mind and how your buyer is going to make money. And that will make the properties that you put under contract much, much more successful and likely to sell.
That was the best piece of advice I've ever heard on one of this call. Think about the end in mind. David, I know you need to go. I need to go to everyone else.
Okay.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. So if you want to work with David and his team, look at Easy REI Closings. We've also, on our Land Autopilot program,